Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I created this SFX GORE finger. I recently posted the full design, which I was calling the Glisten Glow design. I posted it to my Instagram account and my Facebook, and I had so many lovely ladies asking for a tutorial. I didn't film the original one, but what I decided to do was recreate it for you guys. While it isn't exactly the same, I hope you could get the gist of what I did. So if you want to see how I completed this look, then just keep on watching. So as always, before we jump into the tutorial, let's discuss the products. So the makeup products I used for this design were the Line Crime Venus 1 and 2 palette. I also used a primer, number 7 foundation, a translucent powder, a setting spray. I also used an old makeup sponge I didn't mind getting destroyed, a makeup brush and an eyeshadow brush. You'll also need a pair of scissors, a cuticle stick, some face paints, some liquid latex and some fake blood. So finally guys, let's jump right into that tutorial. So I'm going to start this look by using some liquid latex and an old Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge. You're going to want to use tools that you don't mind destroying guys, because even though it's kids Halloween makeup, it really does stain. So I'm going to start by just dabbing that latex all over my finger, and when I'm happy that I've completely covered the finger, while it's still wet, I'm going to go ahead and rip up some cotton, little cotton wool balls and into little pieces and completely cover the finger with that. And then once I had completely covered the finger with that wool and I was happy with the thickness of it, I went ahead again and took more liquid latex on that sponge and then did another layer of the latex all over that, let that dry for a couple of minutes and then did another layer of latex. And then my next step was to take some of this Rcma translucent powder and again a Real Techniques foundation sponge and to go over that finger completely so the latex isn't so sticky before we move on to putting the makeup on. Next I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and you really want to be careful when you're doing this because you could so easily stab yourself. We're going to make incisions into the wool and the latex. Now bear in mind that it's going to be quite difficult to get into. So once you've got the initial hole, I just took a metal cuticle pusher and opened it up so it looked more like a gaping wound. And you could definitely go ahead and do this how many times you want on the nail, but what I decided to do was do it one time down, like a bigger one down the finger, a smaller one to the side, and then at the tip of the finger. So next I'm going to grab my number 7 Airbrush Away primer and I'm going to put this all over my hand, and I did this because the first time I did it I completely stained my hand, so I thought to myself I'll put some primer on and that'll hopefully help. So I put that all over where I was going to be spraying the blood, and also I decided to add some fixing spray because I thought the more protection I had for my hand the less it would stain. So my next step was to go ahead and grab some foundation. And again I just used the same sponge and I put that all over my hand so the finger matched the colour of the rest of my hand. And then I once again sprayed the oil control setting spray, and then finally to smooth out the base I took that translucent powder and my foundation brush and then went over the whole hand including the finger to completely mattify it. So my next step was to add a little bit of dimension to the finger. So I used some of this Halloween makeup that I also picked up from Asda. These were just in the kids section, so again, they are not the greatest paints, but they were perfect for what I needed them for. So I started with the red, and I put the red all over the tip of the finger, so it was basically like it was raw red, really sore. And as you can see, this red is super bright, so I went ahead and added various colours all over the nail to just give the nail a little bit more of that sort of like rotted flesh, like everything was hurting type look. So I went in with the red, I went in with the green, then I added the black to the inside of the wound so it would darken up the blood. And again, it doesn't look perfect here, but once you start adding the blood, everything that you've put on first is just going to make that blood pop and make it all that more gory and more like rotten flesh. Once I was finished with the paints, I moved on to the eyeshadow palettes, and I started using this colour called Mustard, and I put that around the edges of where the cotton wool was to look like it was the skin was bruised and getting redder and sorer as it was going around. I also added some black eyeshadow, which I didn't include, which I don't know why. And again, I put that in the middle of the wound, and that was just going to accentuate the blood and make it look a lot more like that rotten flesh, and it was really sore and really hurt. And once I built up a bit of that bruising, I went ahead and switched palettes and used more of the burgundy and red colours, and I just added more of those colours, again focusing on the edge where I thought that the bruising would look more sore. As you know guys, I am not an SFX guru by any sense of the word. This is actually only the third time I've ever did this, so I don't know the terms and the ways to describe it. I know this isn't perfect, but I got the results that I was looking for. So yeah, now we're going to move on to the blood, and the first blood that I'm going to be using is this like sort of really thick coagulated blood, and I'm focusing this on the middle of the wounds, again where I thought everything would get thicker and more like sort of lumpy and bumpy and gross. I was looking at a picture for a little bit of sort of an idea. Again, I hate blood, so the fact that I was sitting doing this was giving me the total bulk. But what I decided to do was take some of that blood and some of that red paint and just add a bit of bruising and some dirt and scrapes. I really wanted to add some makeup to the hand, because obviously if you've shredded your finger like this, it's going to look really gross. So now you can see that I'm just adding some blood and gore into that nail. So for the tendon on the cut, what I did was just rolled up some more cotton wool. I trimmed it to the size of the gaping wound, and then I put some liquid latex into the middle where I just added all that blood. And I thought I've kind of messed it up here, but it actually looked really good once, because it almost looked like pooling skin once I was finished. So I started just adding a little bit of liquid latex into that wound, and then I held on the cotton wool a little bit and then put more liquid latex over the top. I then moved on to adding sort of like blood squiggles and like thick blood sort of dripping from the nails before I went on to spraying the nail. For the rest of the blood, I started with this black zombie blood because it was a lot, as you can see, it's a lot darker and like it's a lot thinner than the other blood as well. So I focused this around the outside of the wound, again where I thought that everything would look pulled back, rotten and very sore. So I focused this, as you can see, around the outside of the wound, down the side of the tendon, and again I did some around the back of the nail as well. My last step was to go ahead and spray more blood onto the hand, and it sort of got clogged here and went all over the place, but I thought I was just going to go with it. So I was just adding more of that into the wound, more of that onto the finger, and sort of bubbling it so it really looked like it was bad and horrible. I added more to my hand, took the other hand and scraped it, so it made it look like I had lots of scrapes on the hand and I'd really been through the wars. And my last step was to go ahead and just go crazy with the blood and make it look like as gross and as horrible as I possibly could. And finally guys, this is what the design looked like once it was finished, and obviously on the pictures you could see that I added some glitzy nails as well. If you want to see a tutorial for those, let me know in the comment section below. I didn't think you would, because they were just basic baby boomer nails. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, guys, I would really appreciate it if you could give me a thumbs up. I know I'm not a professional, but I had so much fun doing this and I really hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're new to my channel, hello and welcome, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!